Sure.
Yeah.
Need your wingman.
Okay, meeting called to order at 7 o'clock. Call the roll.
Trustee Haig,
Here.
trustee Hall,
Here.
trustee McCurdy,
Here.
trustee Pini,
Here.
trustee Charno,
Here.
trustee Wangles,
Here.
president Kubiak.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. I do not have any public comments tonight. If anyone wants to speak, I would invite you to come up to the podium now and speak. If not, we're going to move on. Please.
Hey guys,
An address for the record.
for sure. My name is Cesar Diaz, and I'm actually not part of Pingree Grove yet, and I don't wish to be part of, but the reason I'm here today is my property's attempted to be annexed by Pingree Grove. So I just had a statement to make before, a little emotional for me, so I did write it down, just so I could get it word for word. I just want to begin by expressing my deep admiration for the village. Thank you guys for having me today. You build a truly exceptional community, one that stands out throughout planning, meticulous maintenance, and commitment to preserving the charming quality of life that draws to people like me in this area. I actually do own a property in Pingree as well. The way you nurture this growth while honoring region's heritage, it's inspiring. I really actually like the area. I walk my dogs every day. It's a testament of dedication of the village leaders and residents alike. That said, I stand before you today to respectfully voice my concerns about the proposed annexation of my property. I have a 2 to 3 acre homestead that I've poured my heart into, soul, and every resource I have in acquiring it. This is just a house to me. This isn't just a house to me. It's a realization of my long dream, owning my own, cultivating my own farm, living off a homestead. I have my own well water. I do love it. I wanted to raise my family. I have plans that I've planned to do, like architectural plans already paid for as well. I've actually poured a lot of my family's resources into the property. When I purchased the property, we invested everything we had into it, transforming it a neglected space into a thriving piece of farmland. I already talked to Nick about it. We've cleared overgrown areas. The other guy literally neglected it. We came, restored the house from the ground up, painted the barn, planted seeds, and pretty much got it green again. As soon as we got in there, everything started growing again. It's looking pretty already. It's a big acreage, so it's a lot of work. Don't get it wrong. I do have equipment. It takes ridiculous amounts of work. I'm only one guy. So at the end of the day, I do have to do what I have to do. We have technology right now, so we have to use it. These efforts represent not only a significant financial investment, but also countless hours of sweat equity, all aimed to building a sustainable legacy for my farm. As I said again, I do understand Pingree's high maintenance. I've seen it. You guys water your grass that's all around the area. That being said, I do need my equipment to maintain the land effectively. I'm committed to doing it responsibly. I don't mind collaborating with Village of Pingree Grove into aligning into your views, high standards, whether it's through shared guidelines or open dialogue. You know, you guys can always call me. I'm one call away. I've always demonstrated that while filing permits for fencing, I've already filed permits for fencing, siding, improvements, and I'm going to tackle them one at a time. In fact, I've already paid for architectural plans, like I already said. I'm willing to follow the rules and be a partner of the community. After all, I do own properties in Pingree Grove and do desire it to flourish. However, annexation does possess a profound challenge to my vision. For instance, I cherish my private well water. It's free, it's pure. It symbolizes independence farming ethos that this nation is built on. Forcing a shift could disrupt the delicate balance of established, not to mention that it would take years to fully take shape of the property and then really make it into a farmland that I desire. As I mentioned to Nick, I'm in this for the long haul, but I do worry about that annexation might hinder my process, which could clash with the anatomy of the essential rural living, which is you guys. That being said, I do have an alternative. I openly talked to Nick about it, proposed if the villages does see my property as integral into the expansion of their plans, I'm not opposed to discussing a fair sale, which given the extensive investments in my personal efforts, I've made an offer of like 850 to $1 million will reflect the true value that will allow me to relocate my dreams elsewhere. Other than that, I'm a little invested, so I'll just stay there and advocate for my space. That prefer my agriculture, obviously my lawyer, and then which this aligns to many of the community values. So, I mean, I'm always looking for working with you guys, talking about it. I've only talked to Nick about it, so I'll be definitely open to talking to you guys about it since you guys do have plans. I did buy it 2 years ago. As I was telling Nick, if I knew you guys at the end of the day had plans before I even made. So I am gonna do a Freedom of Information Act, see if you guys had plans for my development of my land before I even bought it. Just because I did invest a lot of money into it and now it's being annexed. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have bought it. I would have, if you guys said, hey, I want to do this, don't do it, I wouldn't have done it, so just stuff like that. Again, at the end of the day, I'm just looking to work with you guys. And then I do have something to say. I don't know if it was you or you were in office 2 years ago. But we did have a troubling start. Shortly after us moving in, the mayor did send police to inspect our property, which we felt kind of like a targeted scrutiny. Then there were several calls made to King County alleging improperties when all we did was literally moving in, begin to clear the land, just kind of see what was going on. And then, it's okay, we have it documented. This just left a little sour taste in us, and like it didn't diminish how we like Pingree Grove and stuff like that, but a little bit more communication, open word would have, been a little bit nicer. More of a warm welcome instead of like a harsh response to the entrance.
Caesar, I think you're talking about the time that our police came over because there was dirt all over Ranking Road. Is that correct?
So that was a different interest. That was the second one. The first one was us moving in. We were putting stuff into the gravel road because it was really wiggly. So we were making a gravel road. The second one, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's no way of you guys knowing that I own that property and my other property.
No.
Because one was one, and then you guys sent a letter, but not to Pingree, not to my farmhouse, but you guys sent one to my Pingree residence, which you guys knew I lived in, which is weird because how would you go know I lived there?
We do have water records. You pay
I
water
don't.
bills
It's
from-
not. I'm not on that. I'm not on the water bill,
Yeah.
FYI. But again, I'm gonna pull all those documents out from when you guys sent them out.
Okay.
I'm
We
gonna do all
appreciate
that.
it. I
So
think, I guess I have some concerns why you are so concerned about being annexed into our village. You have well water. Several of our residents down in the Heritage District have well water. We don't encourage you. You don't have to use our water. Does your property there use Ranking Road and the streets in our village? Absolutely. Do you feel that you shouldn't be part of paying to keep up that road even though you drive your vehicles on it?
it's not about the taxes. It's more about the ordinances. Then I have to
Mhm.
allocate to a 0.5 of an acre lifestyle, like my neighbor that you guys built a house on. Literally, I can stretch my hand and I could touch his wall, right? So it's more of that. I already put a big wall because it would just give us privacy. It's not about the taxes. I think there's even like a partial annexation process where you can just pay those taxes if you guys want. It's more on the ordinances that would you run a farmhouse with residential guidelines.
Okay, you bought that there knowing you were in the middle of our village, correct? So you don't feel like you should have to follow ordinances that come within our village, yet your property is centered in the middle of
When I
our
bought the
village.
property, it was King County farmland. That's how it was sold to me. That's how the attorney sold it to me. That's what we signed for the papers legally. It was farmland.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a special presentation, Police Commission Promotional Ceremony for Patrol Sergeant Jack Farren.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Unfortunately, looks like Commissioner Stevens couldn't make it tonight. I will be handling this. The Pingree Grove Police Department and the Board of Police Commissioners approved the promotion of Patrol Officer Jack Farren to the rank of Sergeant. Jack Farren joined the Pingree Grove Police Department as a full-time officer on November 15th, 2021. He began his law enforcement career in 2018 at the Aurora Police Department after completing training at the Police Training Institute Academy in Urbana-Champaign. Additionally, he's worked in the village of Posen, and he has been with us since 21. Sergeant Farron currently serves as our department's firearms instructor, CPR, first aid instructor, and field training officer. He's also a sergeant in the Illinois Army National Guard, 933 Military Police Company. Jack and his wife, Tony, who have been married for 5 years, welcomed their son, Hudson, in January 2025. They're here tonight to support Jack's career, and Tony will be pinning the sergeant badge on his uniform. We want to congratulate Sergeant Jack Farron on his recent promotion. Raise your right hand. I, state your name, I, Jack Farron, do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America. Do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois. The Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois. The charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Pinker Grove. The charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Pinker Grove. The rules and regulations of the Pinker Grove Police Department. The rules and regulations of the Pinker Grove Police Department. And the law enforcement code of ethics. And the law enforcement code of ethics. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as police sergeant to the best of my ability. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a police sergeant to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on. We've got the consent agenda. Tonight, we have the approval of minutes from August 18th, 2025 Village Board meeting and the approval of the warrant list for September 2nd. Oh shit, I'm sorry, guys. We got to do the public hearing. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
I move to open the public hearing for the proposed First Amendment to the annexation agreement by and between Village of Pingree Grove and D.R. Horton Incorporated Midwest for the Village of Pingree Grove, Kane County, Illinois.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
I'm gonna chime in really quick here. After I give a little blurb here, then I think we'll open it up to formal public comment on this item. If there's anybody here who wants to provide a public comment. This is the proposed annexation agreement amendment to facilitate the construction of the park right near the fire station. This is something that President Kubiak and I have been working and negotiating with Horton over the last year on. As we kind of move closer here to get near the finish line, if you have additional thoughts or concerns or whatnot, please let both of us know. And that's really it about this tonight. I know we've talked a bit about this park in the past. Today is just the public hearing to solicit any feedback from the public on the item. With that, is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this specific amendment?
Can I get a motion to close the hearing?
I move to close the public hearing for the proposed First Amendment to the annexation agreement by and between the Village of Pingree Grove and D.R. Horton Incorporated Midwest for the Village of Pingree Grove, Kane County, Illinois.
Second.
Call the roll.
Was that trustee McCurdy? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, trustee Charna,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Wengels,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, finally, we're going to move into the consent agenda. Tonight, we have the approval of minutes from August 18th, 2025 Village Board meeting, the approval of the warrant list for September 2nd, 2025 in the amount of $324,815.27. Is there any discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Charna,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wengels,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, we'll move into items for separate action. Item A is the consideration and approval of an ordinance approving the tax increment financing eligibility study and redevelopment area plan and project for the Heritage Redevelopment Project area. Nick?
Thank you, President Kubiak. Just for the board's information, I'm going to be addressing items A, B, and C together here in one fell swoop. As always, feel free to ask any questions. For the board this evening are the three ordinances necessary to implement the Heritage Tax Increment Financing District. As a reminder to the board and those in attendance, the goal of the TIF is to reinvest captured tax revenue into the specified area to pay for beautification efforts and public infrastructure improvements. When implemented, a TIF district freezes the property tax revenue at its current level. As property values rise, that extra tax revenue, known as the increment, is set aside in the TIF fund and then used for improvements only in the specified TIF district. The three ordinances related to this accomplish this in the following ways. By approving the TIF eligibility study and redevelopment plan, approve the boundaries of the proposed district, and implement tax increment financing in that district. Staff recommends the approval of the three proposed ordinances and are here to answer any questions that the village board may have.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? If not, can I get a motion for item 8A?
I move
To
to
approve an ordinance approving the tax increment financing eligibility study and redevelopment area plan and project for the Heritage Redevelopment Project area.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Charna,
Yes.
trustee Wengels.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Can I get a motion for item 8B?
I move to approve an ordinance designating the Heritage Redevelopment Project area.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Wengels,
Yes.
trustee Charna,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
If there are no additional questions, can I get a motion for item 8C?
I move to approve an ordinance adopting tax increment financing for the Heritage Redevelopment Project area.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Sorry, trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wengels,
Yes.
trustee Turnow.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Item 8D is the consideration and approval of an ordinance annexing 15 North 061 Ranking Road to the village. Nick?
Thank you, President Kubiak. For the board this evening is an ordinance which approves the annexation of the property located at 15 North 061 Ryan King Road into the village of Pingree Grove. The property is located approximately 1/2 mile north of the municipal center and is surrounded on all sides by incorporated Pingree Grove. Due to the facts that the property is surrounded on all sides by the village and with confirmation from Kane County that the property does not include any right-of-way that has been previously annexed to another village, the village has the legal authority to annex the property. Based upon this, and to follow good planning and zoning practices, staff is recommending approval of the ordinance to annex the property. Staff is available to answer any questions that the board may have on the subject.
So, so the village codes that are concerned of his, is there? So I guess like if you got a 2-acre property, there's gonna be certain codes that would apply to my house without that, that would probably not be applicable to a property of that size with the work that you would have to do on there to keep it going. So how do we balance that, or is it written in the code, certain things over certain sizes, et cetera?
So in general, this would be rezoned as R1, which in our code, the R1 classification is R1 residential and agricultural. So technically, most of the single-family homes in Cambridge Lakes are the same zoning classification. Now they're within what's called the plan unit development, so there's separate zoning rules that were stipulated for them. But for this property, I would probably compare it more so to something like in the Heritage District, where it's a larger parcel, over an acre, things of that nature. And when you're over an acre, and especially with that agricultural use, there are things like I think last year we talked about having a chicken coop. There are regulations in place that are applicable to homes over an acre in property and under an acre. Basically, if it's over an acre, you can have a chicken coop, but it has to be, I think it's 500 feet or X amount of feet, or maybe 100, either way, it's a certain amount of feet away from a property line. Whereas a home under 1 acre doesn't have that. So there are differences, but for a property this size, the regulations that would be applicable to them, it would be pretty similar to a home within the Heritage District, as an example. Does that kind of answer what you're getting at? or-
Yeah, and per se, do we know if there's like a code violation right now that he would technically have to change something?
At this moment, no, I don't know. I know in the past when, there were issues with, during the street, that's a violation.
Yeah.
Perhaps some of the placement of the equipment might be, but right now, without doing some kind of inspection, do not know.
Okay.
Can I get a word?
If it's very brief, yes.
It's more on like the house is covered by like 100 trees, moving like I'm talking about 100-year-old trees. And then just to move one, it's like ridiculous, And then we've been cutting them. We're trying to allocate, everything's on my right side, where the houses were built. I'm trying to allocate everything to the left side, but it's a downhill. So, and then when I talked to Kane County, they don't want me to do anything major. They said you can create a way down, that's it. You can raise everything up. It's a part of the waterway. But obviously my land, I can go in there. So I'm just trying to grow grass and like kind of get in there and push everything. Because we don't use it every day. It's literally parked there 9 times today. I used it. I moved 2 trees. And that's it. And then it's like, and obviously I got to be conscious. People will go to sleep, So like middle of the day, I use it.
Yeah, and I would just say with regards to utilizing your property and things of that nature, I know there's interest in doing farming to it, things like that. This should not prohibit you from doing that. And as far as any code violations that come up or arise, we would handle it similar to we would any other, exactly as we would any other property. Our approach with code enforcement is we don't come down with a hefty fine right away and say, here's your fine, fix your problem. We try to work with all residents as this is a notification, we might have received a complaint about your property. We send out a code inspector to take a look from the street, see what he's.
And
doing,
then
and
another
then
thing was like the
inform.
builders just threw a bunch of stuff to our property, like at the edge. I cleaned it up. I didn't even say anything, but stuff like that is like, I'm picking everybody's mess up. But again, I want to be part of it, so I didn't even say anything. So, but yeah.
Sure. Any other questions for
I have a
Nick Harvey?
question. Would this R1 eliminate him running a business from their property?
Yeah, he wouldn't, no, it would only be for residential uses, so business.
Is it currently a business now?
Okay, and so he could stay on as well?
Yes, we're not looking to force them onto village water. There are IEPA regulations, like if your septic tank were to fail, you may have to, but we're not looking to force you onto the village water.
the expense would be ours, I'm guessing.
Most likely, yes.
That's
Yes.
where like it gets to, like,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And I have the question of like.
Yeah, can you come to the mic? Yeah.
My name's Ashley Diaz. I'm his sister. We co-own the house. And one of the things that I was worried about was that, like, the cost of those things, like he mentioned, we have invested a lot of money, like it's constantly being invested a lot of money. And as far as like we were concerned and stuff, all those fixtures that wouldn't really like have to be involved if we weren't part of the village. And then another concern that I had was, if we did get annexed, are you guys gonna send us a list of all your guys' regulations? How would that work too? Because we wouldn't be, well, at least I've never owned a property in Pinky Grove, so I wouldn't know, like, what are your guys' rules, the stuff that you guys had, that commercial question that got brought up. All of those things, like, how are we supposed to know all of that? And is it just gonna be, if that was the case, is it something that we're gonna have like an amount of days to have to figure it out? Or are you guys gonna be like, okay, you guys are now Pinky Grove, tomorrow everything is out, this is that, like, this is part of the reason that we're here. We want to be able to communicate these things with you guys, and be able to learn a little bit about that, because I don't ever show up to these. So this is the reason why I showed up, more importantly, to be able to know and be able to have you guys answer some of our questions and all together.
It's like a lot very.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and obviously you don't prefer to be, but if you are residents, we're gonna treat you the same as everyone else, and we pride customer service here, and so to that point about what what rules do I have to follow? I think what we'll do is once this is formally, completed, we will absolutely send something to you documenting this is what, if the board wants to go forward with the annexation, this was annexed. You're officially incorporated as of this date. Here are some of the big rules to consider, things to think about. And then, of course, if you have any questions, we're happy to meet or call or.
Because I've heard
Yeah.
some of like partial annexation where
If you could go to the mic, just so it's on record.
I've heard like partial annexation where like I could pay the taxes. Obviously, I do use the road, and then I could follow all your ordinances, but I could still remain a farmland. I don't have the citing that I was doing my research on, but it's again, I'll be willing to work with you guys. Or again, I still bring up the purchasing idea because I know you guys are obviously looking to develop, the developing of the park, the developing of the store, like jewels and stuff like that.
And I'll also be clear about, our goal is not to develop like your property, like it'd be zone residential, that's what you want to use it for. Our goal is not to come in and say, you have to do this or that. It's just, it makes sense from a zoning and planning perspective, as well as service provisions, things like that, from our point of view as to why it should be.
What would I need if I were to rezone it as like, I wanted to build townhouse there?
If you wanted to do that, then you would petition, just like if you were unincorporated, wanting to do it with the county, or unincorporated wanting to come to the village, it would be a zoning petition to the village to ask for a change to your zoning.
For sure. Yeah, cause like I was telling Nick, I was talking to a developer asking questions and he asked me if I wanted to sell it, you know?
Gotcha.
So that was my wondering if,
And same with that or anything else, if something comes up and you're not sure, just give us a call.
okay,
Happy to talk through it.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. That was,
Sure.
Just to follow on like what he kind of asked about the partial annexation, is that something that is possible with you guys, or is it, are we just doing all of it? Because like you mentioned, I feel like that was a good point, like we were to pay the taxes like of that road that we are using, what are the possibilities of changing? Because I feel like we've kind of talked about, like there's a lot of differences between being unincorporated with King County and now being incorporated into an actual village. It might seem like right now we don't have all of our points cleared out because we don't know what Pinky Grove would change us into. So that's where I feel like we're more concerned of like, is it later on gonna affect us? Maybe not right now. Like we said, we're not doing a lot on the land. We're moving things slowly because it takes a lot of time and money. But in the long run, like you said, we were planning to be established here for a pretty good length of time. So that's where I feel like we have our thoughts of, the partial annexation, what the rules would be, how would it be like a difference between that and stuff.
I would just say I personally am not familiar with a partial annexation kind of
Mhm.
mechanism. I wouldn't, if it did exist, I wouldn't personally recommend it to the village board to do that. I think it makes more sense from beyond, and I totally get where you're coming from with, the services, could we just pay for that? But beyond that too, just the location of it, and not only is it currently surrounded by the village, but the village's long-term comprehensive plan envisions the village spreading out even further beyond where you are. So, 20, 30 years from now, you're already surrounded by the village on each side, you might be surrounded by the village 2 miles on each side. So that's my recommendation to the board. Michael, do you have anything to comment?
Sure. Why don't you consider, if you would, all of our ordinances are online. And I think the starting point would be for R1 zoning. The village is going to be cognizant of what your buildings are and what your uses are today. I think two, your questions go a little far afield, but what I think you're going to find is that to the extent that you have a desire to redevelop the property, that may not be possible in King County, whereas it would be with the village with our utilities. So my thought would be start with the R1 ordinance. Don't try to read all the ordinances unless you're like at Starbucks or something. And come in to have a conversation with Nick and or Andy or staff, and we can talk about what the uses are out there that you wish to continue, what you may want to consider doing in the future. We can help you with that and start from there. But don't try to read everything. I don't think it's, and I think you're going to have a little bit of familiarity. If you have a residence in the village already, you've kind of seen, I'm not sure the village has intruded on your lives a lot, right? So I think you'll be pleasantly pleased. I think the more you communicate with us, that'd be helpful, just as Andy suggested.
Do you guys have machines like tractors and do you have like a,
I'll put in fact, my neighbor was mowing on his lawn today. I took a picture with a loader. I'm talking about ridiculously big machine. This is my left door neighbor. This is my left door neighbor. This is what it takes to maintain that farmland.
yeah,
It's like a huge bobcat. It's acreage. So unless you're gonna do it for all day type, which we don't have the time, that's why you need a machine.
yeah.
It just production clearing, it
So-
helps a lot.
I've talked with Andy a lot about this actually, because I do have concerns about applying every village code that. So do you have a shed or something to put it in or a barn or whatever?
6 feet farmhouse made of concrete, 2 feet, 10 feet down into the ground and 10 feet, 12 feet. into the-
Is that in fairly good condition?
No, no, from no, that's just storage.
Okay. So what would we do about that? Like, we're just gonna force them to build something to put them in? You know, like, it's a whole different issue right now, like, as far as applying what you would do to a townhouse or a single family home to a 3 acre, 2 acre lot, as far as, cause you need a big brush hog, skid steer type thing to mow it, you know?
With our big farm, like, it's concrete, like, we wouldn't want to just tear that down.
And are they able to keep that thing?
So,
Yeah.
these are ordinance for that.
Okay, so you would have benefited from being here for our Planning and Zoning Commission seminar at 5:30. But here's the thought is, the village is not interested in, if you have a building that was put in appropriately, the village isn't seeking to move buildings or to tear down buildings. So I think start with the zoning, maybe a second chapter, but the second thing you guys may want to look at is, we have a chapter on non-conforming uses, which may be what you're interested in. We recognize that. We recognize. And so you may want to come in and I think reconfirm if you wish, the village is an interest in taking it down. You have a second issue about perhaps exploring the idea of redevelopment, which is a whole different discussion. And we don't know to what extent townhomes meet the acreage requirements, their setbacks, but those are also online. But the thought would be this, I think that you guys have a lot of ideas. You have some questions, but my thought would be start with the zoning ordinance about R1, non-conforming uses. I think that will reassure you. And then come on in and talk to the staff about questions you may have after that.
For me, it's like more on the, again, investment. We just poured a lot of money into this property. It's a family-owned property. It's more on the, should we keep investing in it? Is that the right idea when you guys have plans to take over and make Pingree beautiful modern, you know? Or is the best thing, hey, don't even invest in it because we'd be willing to buy, you know, like, we don't want to invest a lot and then just to be moved out later and not fit in and stuff, something like that, you know, more on the long-term stuff. Or like, hey, don't even invest in it, sit on it and, you know, stuff like that.
I can be honest with you right now, our village doesn't have $1 million or $850,000 to buy your property. We don't. What we're looking to do is include you in our village. We're not looking to destroy your way of life there. We don't need you to add yourselves into our water system or our sewer system as long as you have functioning there. We're looking to have you be part of our village. What concerns me a little bit is you keep talking about things that you want to do that won't conform to our village. So I guess I'm a little concerned, like, what is it that you're wanting to do there?
I want to build. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
So if I'm gonna do this, cost $1.5 million right now, let alone 3 years, should I be continuing that plan? Like my family does construction, and I develop. So I obviously want to develop my own dream. That's why. And I was like this house, I did it all myself. I put my sweat equity. I'm not rich. I'm not my dad. You know, I'm a kid. You know. And that's where I'm coming up from. Should I really be considering that, or should I even not even invest 100,000 into planning, civil engineering, seeing how I can make that farm work? Because it's gonna be reconstructed, but like in a long term. That's why it's tricky for me, because it's a big deal for me, because it might hinder those plans where that's where I was aiming towards. And if it's not even feasible, why drop money and waste it? Because I don't want to do that. That's more of my question.
I understand what you're saying. I think what would benefit you would be to come in and sit down with Nick. He's our development person, and really talk through what you're looking to do. And Nick can give you, hey, this will work. This is okay. Again, we're not looking to destroy your way of life there. It's not our plan.
I respect that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would actually just sit down, give them your full plan, and then they can say, here, this is what would be allowed, this what would not be allowed, and if that's a deal breaker, then by all means, do not invest anymore.
Because that was like with King County, you could build whatever you want. You know, you get a plan in there, you can build whatever you want. With you guys, you have R1. Is that a maximum livable household? I don't know. You know, stuff like that. I know, I do construction, again, there's codes in every village, they're all different. So incorporating would be following all your guidelines now.
Okay. Well, just Thank you. The question on that is, like, say he wanted a 5,000 square foot, and does our code limit square footage? I know.
There are limitations, but R1 is the biggest there is.
Okay.
And if, in theory, say he was interested in expanding the home in some manner that it was, I would be surprised, but bigger than the limitations, then if that's something the board would be receptive to, there are mechanisms to facilitate that.
Okay.
And,
So
I would be surprised if what you're looking to do wouldn't work into R1, but I guess we'd have to look at the
Yeah.
specifics. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just sit down with Nick, get everything lined up. This is what we want to do. This is what we're gonna do. Our planners are doing, and if he says no, not even close, then probably not. But if it's something, maybe Andy could reach out to the board, and if it's like, okay, add 5,000 square foot to the code or something, and not saying we will, but maybe we could look at it. Yeah, and if we say no, then and at least it's done now rather than a year from now,
Yeah. Yeah, that's more of my.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone have anything else?
Should we go ahead and vote on this now then, anyway, or wait and let them talk for a week?
Totally up to the board. My recommendation would be to approve it. Because I think no matter what, my recommendation would be we want to annex this property, but that's totally up to the board.
I move to approve an ordinance annexing 15 North 061 Ranking Road to the Village of Pingree Grove, Kane County, Illinois.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Terenau,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Item E is the consideration and approval of a resolution approving and authorizing the submittal of an application for an open space land acquisition and development grant for the proposed improvements to the Pingree Grove Skate Park. Andy?
Yeah. All right, since our last board meeting, the last couple of weeks has been a period of public comment regarding the skate park. It's also been a time in which we've been working with the park planning engineers to modify the plan based upon the public input as well as the board workshop / discussion at the last meeting. Included in the packet is a revised park plan. I want to just touch on a couple of the things that were kind of highlights discussed last time and how it relates to the new park plan. First, the biggest thing I think that was discussed was parking. The new park plan, some of the items or the amenities have been shuffled around in order to facilitate additional parking spaces up to a 25 parking spot amount, which is a very big increase from last time, which was 13. And the reason that was able to be done was because one, the ice rink has been moved to be on top of the basketball court. The advantage of that is so that in the winter you can place it there. It doesn't have to take up additional grass space. And then also the basketball courts are planned to be lit so that there will be lighting there in the winter when it gets dark early. Additionally, the zip line has been moved further north, closer to the existing playground and skate park. And those are kind of the relocations that kind of facilitated the additional parking. Other things that were brought up were exploring a natural gas fire pit. Another thing that came up a lot, especially in some of the public comments, was concern over fire pit safety. From some brief conversations I've had with the park planners on fire pit safety in particular, what some forest preserve districts or park districts will do is they'll do some kind of lock mechanism to basically lock the fire pit so that it can only be used if it's been reserved. So that is an option there. Another thing kind of small to point out, but this was a topic of conversation, is additional grills being added to the pavilion. And then also something that came up too was winter heating options. This is something that in the actual design phase for the park plans, We'll be working with Fair Grant to explore things like temporary walls or other types of heating mechanisms that can be incorporated into the pavilion. Another question that was asked about was, could we adjust the baseball field or remove the baseball field? How would that free up space, change things? And that was explored, but a reduction in the amenity, whether it's just a reduction in size or removal altogether, the concern with that is that that could reduce our score for our OSLAD application. And there are roughly funding for about 52 projects in the next state fiscal year for this type of grant. It is a competitive grant, so we want to be as competitive as possible when going for it. I think those are some of the major adjustments. The item on the agenda tonight for consideration is approval of a resolution from the board, basically stating that the village board is supportive of the plan. It was authorizing staff and our consultant to go for the OSLAD grant, and that we are committing to following the rules of the OSLAD grant if we are awarded. And so I would ask the board to consider, one, if we're good with the park plan as it is here, to recommend approval so we can pass that resolution and get that in the grant application to be submitted by the end of the month. If there are changes to the concept that the board would like to see that are fairly minor, we could pass the resolution with the request to modify it slightly or modify the concept plan. Or if there are big things the board really wants to see modified before doing some kind of resolution, we can table this to the 15th. But last thing I'll say is very happy with the public comment, the responses that we received. Overwhelmingly positive. At the time that I wrote the memo, we had received 64 online, which I think is by far and away the most online comment feedback that we've received since I've been with the village on something. And almost all of them were positive. There were a couple negative ones here or there about noise or fire pit safety or things like that. But I was happy to see a lot of positive feedback from the community. So with that, I'll hand it off if there's any questions or comments.
I have a question. I wanted to get board feedback on this. I read through all the comments to see what people thought about the park. And like Andy said, a lot of the comments were negative on the fire pit and then also the noise from the pickleball court. So I wondered what the board would think about taking out the fire pit and then using those dollars to create some kind of landscaping border along the edge to block out the sound from the pickleball courts.
I would take out the fire pits.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna have trouble.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear any of those comments.
I said I'd be fine with that
Lisa's
suggestion.
fine with that.
I'd be okay with it. I think that's a good alternative.
In other pickleball courts outside, is there like, do they come with a noise barrier, like a wall type thing, or is it open and you just deal with the noise, or?
What I have heard of, and I will say I'm not a particular expert on it, but what I've heard of is a lot of times, almost all the time, it's chain link fence. But maybe they'll put like a little net on it. I've not heard of building some kind of like a barrier wall or sound barrier.
No, I'm thinking of like, I don't know what the game where they slam it, like you're in the plastic walls or whatever, is a wall ball or whatever.
Yeah,
Racquetball, yeah. something like that.
Yeah, I've never heard of something like that for outdoor.
Okay.
I drove over to the Gilberts. Gilberts recently put in pickleball and it's just a chain link fence around.
And that
Pickleball.
obstructs the noise itself, or
No.
no, just,
No, and I will say, and I think I mentioned this last time, I mean, with any additional amenities we get here, we're gonna have more people there and there's gonna be rules and there's gonna be people who break rules and we're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get complaints. But with the pickleball in particular, I know some other municipalities, they do field a decent amount of complaints about the noise. So I do think that some kind of landscaping to help block it is good.
yeah, I don't mind the landscaping. Do they already have a row of trees back over
There
here?
there are some trees behind that would provide some screening as
Yeah,
it
because I'm
exists.
guessing these are gonna be mature and we're gonna plant non-mature trees that'll probably take 4 or 5 years either way to kind of say get
Yeah,
dense enough to obstruct noise?
I think there's a fence there too. right?
Is there a
I
fence?
think so. It's
Where's it back
Wooden
here?
fence.
The wooden fence over here?
It's not high, it's like 5.
Yeah, I don't mind taking the fire pit out or whatever, but I'm just wondering if that's gonna block it. And when you say major changes, or what is that? Like if we wanted to add, let's say, something,
it really, I think if, by what I mean by major changes is if you are not comfortable approving the resolution without some kind of a change. I don't imagine there's significant changes that are out there because I've not heard them, but,
Andy?
Yeah.
The one thing that I would feel really more comfortable with is if there was, and I don't know how the landscaping is, but they have a western access to the parking, so it's kind of a U shape versus trying to funnel cars in and out one. I think if you had to get like an ambulance in, you have people coming and going, I think it's extremely tight versus if it could be, you kind of enter in one area and exit in the other.
I get what you're saying. Yes.
It looks like pulling into the municipal lot. I mean, you're kind of strangled in just a one small entrance right there versus given that ease of access.
Yes, I will follow up with the engineers to incorporate that.
I had one question too. The grills that you were looking to put in were gonna be charcoal grills, correct? I think that it would be smart of us to have at least the engineers look at a proper charcoal disposal area instead of people putting it in a garbage can and lighting the garbage can on fire.
Yes, we will do that. And some, not the entrance, that's a pretty big one, but stuff like that, please let me know if you think of that. That's something we'll kind of work through as when they go into the detailed design phase. So that's perfect. Good feedback there.
Hey, Andy,
mhm.
I know that this OSLAD grant is based on what you're putting in for a score. I'm not opposed to taking out the fire pit, but is that any idea if that's gonna affect it in any way? Or is it so minor that it doesn't matter?
It's pretty minor. I mean, in theory, it could slightly affect it. I think if you were to ask IDNR, do you prefer it with or without? The more amenities, the better. But this, especially with IDNR, their focus is on like the park side of things. Which I guess you could argue this is recreation. This is related to it, but I don't think that taking the fireplace out would be the same as like taking out pickleball or even the like wall ball or the park equipment. So I don't think it would be as significant.
somebody from that, do they follow up? Like, so let's say we just put it in as is, and then we decide when we get the grant money that we just want to take the fire pit out and add a few trees and a berm. Like, is that, like, is they gonna send somebody out there and be like, you didn't put that fire pit out, we want our money back, or?
So there is follow-up. So they actually do an inspection of the park once the equipment is in to make sure that it matches the plan. Now, of course, if we change things a little bit, like we throw in more landscaping or we have benches that aren't specifically on the concept. That's not their concern. Their concern is that these are the items that you applied for. This is their plan to be there. Are they there? Because you were given funding based upon the application that included these items.
Okay.
So yeah, if we do keep something on the plan and we apply for it, we should keep it on the plan.
You have to. So one of the interesting things about the OSLAD grant program is it's actually a grant program where you're reimbursed. So basically you front the money for the construction, and then at the end, there's an inspection to make sure that everything was built based on the grant requirements, and then there's a reimbursement with the grant dollars that you're provided.
Do you have any thoughts on that fire removal fireplace? How big effect?
I can't imagine that's going to sway too many points if you take that out. One quick note on the entrance. I have a feeling that the main reason why that wasn't included in the first place is just because there's a pretty sizable grade change on that corner of the site. And I assume that they were just looking to avoid, kind of a steep entrance connection there. I'm sure that it can be, anything can be accommodated. It's just, it may cost more than what a typical connection would with extra grading.
As far as emergency vehicles, I mean, is that something we could just widen this? Just say like emergency vehicle access only, if that's Kevin's concern? Like this path right here along this, like they could pull in and just say, all right, we're jumping this curb and boom.
Certainly, we would let them pull in. I don't know. I suppose we could widen
The
it.
path down the first baseline or whatever, so you can,
Seth might be able to give more input, but it's not, there's not that much base in it that you take a. If you take a fire truck and run it down a bike path, you're gonna do some damage.
yeah, well, if there's an emergency, I guess I technically wouldn't care about the bike path. It'd be my point, but just something if they had to get over there for whatever reason and they couldn't because there was cars blocking them. You know what I mean? In an emergency situation, they could get up there. You know,
The most we would ever take a maniac.
right.
Bike trail.
I'm sure you guys will do what you have to do either way, right?
You know, and the grade can be accommodated. It's really just a low point for all of the drainage to funnel currently, right? So it's gonna have to get built up anyway for some of the parking lots. So it can be, it can be overcome. It's just, that's likely right why it's not there right now.
Well, that's something that's not gonna affect the score one way or the other. If we add that, don't add that.
No.
So we'd look into a cost of adding that or something and.
Yep, Seth, do you see any problem? I don't think that would affect the score, right? Just because they're just looking at the amenities. But no, certainly we are gonna look into that. It's a good idea.
Now, as far as the pickleball courts, we have 6 courts in Caroline. They play 7 days a week. Now, as much as us seniors love to complain, we have no complaints about noise from that, so I don't think that's really an issue. They put up side curtains for the wind, but maybe it keeps down some of the noise too.
Okay. That's good to hear.
With the ice skating rink, is that designed to be like for hockey use or just skating, general purpose skating use?
It could be used for either. And that's part of when we do get closer to, once we have full design and have a better idea of timeline, things of that nature, I think we're gonna have to have a conversation about park rules. And do we want to make changes to the ordinance? Do we want to make changes specific to this park? What are people comfortable with? The ice skating rink can accommodate both. I will say from my conversation with the city of Morris, who currently has one of these, they don't allow hockey. Not that we have to follow that rule or do that, but they don't allow hockey. They say this is just for ice skating. But that's something that I think should discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess because you're gonna look into a few things and we'll just table this.
I'd prefer not to, Kevin. We're too close to the ASLED grant. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So I think right now, is everybody comfortable just leaving it as is?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to, you could even do a conditional approval, right? With, conditioned on some adjustments, including the consideration of a access way on the western limits of the site and potential elimination of the fire pit. You could approve a condition on that.
And how about to that point, I do agree with President Kubiak. I do think it probably is best if we can pass the resolution tonight, but I will work with Seth and Mark Decker from Fair Graham so that at the next board meeting, we can report back on preliminary cost of the west end entrance. And then we can maybe just take off the fireplace too, just to show you the final copy, but if that works for the board.
So I move to approve a resolution approving and authorizing the submittal of an application for an open space land acquisition and development grant, conditioned on the consideration of a western access, the removal of the fire pit, and some sort of area for the disposal of charcoal for the grills.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Next is item F. The consideration and approval of an ordinance amending section 1-11-10 towing vehicles of chapter 11 Code Hearing Department, Title 1 Administration, and chapter 9 Impoundment of Motor Vehicles, Title 7 Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Village Code. Andy.
Yes, so this is an item that was tabled at the last meeting. Staff was working with legal counsel to take some feedback that we received regarding the ordinance to try to make it just a little bit more clear or easy to read, both for administration or potentially for residents who wanted to look up these types of codes. Again, these codes are related to towing, whether it's what we would call administrative fee towing or towing in commission with an offense. So it's basically towing a vehicle in association with some kind of a crime that per state law authorizes that vehicle to be towed, like driving without a license or DUI or something like that. There's also other pieces of our code related to towing that's not necessarily in commission with the crime. For example, like an abandoned vehicle, somebody abandons a vehicle at the municipal center or on a street or something of that nature. So the intent of the ordinance is to separate those two sections, clarify some of these things, and make sure that it's also in compliance with the municipal adjudication program that is in the works as well. With that, I can take any questions.
If there are no questions, can I get a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending section 1-11-10 towing vehicles of chapter 11 Code Hearing Department, Title 1 Administration, and chapter 9 Impounding of Motor Vehicles, Title 7 Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Village Code.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, we're gonna move into reports. Today I talked to Schroeder, who's doing our paving in the village. Obviously, not the best this year. They've done good work, but they've been slow. I've been assured that all work will be completed with the exception of the bike path by the end of this week. So that's all of your pothole patching and the pollinator garden. All the neighborhoods have been completed. Andy and I are speaking with Troutman and Doms on Friday to discuss what's going on there and when we're going to see movement and hopefully some submittal to the board. We met with Samir, who is working on the Rhine King and 72 project after our last meeting. We had a good meeting with them. They really seem to be rolling. It seems like they probably will be up and going by next spring. So that's exciting building there. And then finally, Metro West has taken our IDOT letter that we wrote and they're taking it down to Springfield this week. So we're hoping to maybe get some feedback on that and hopefully some movement from IDOT. That's all I have. Andy?
Yeah, just a brief update, kind of President Kubiak mentioned about the ongoing development talk that we had with Mr. Samir, but yeah, we had a good conversation with them. They are still working on submitting a formal application to us. They're also at the same time working on their application to submit to IDOT. I imagine it will be around a similar time. Once that is done and submitted to the village, then we will do a full staff, legal, and engineering review of their proposed plans and uses and talk more with the board. And then Planning and Zoning Commission as we go through that process. Also still in the behind the scenes is the self-storage development on Route 20. They are still interested in pursuing that project. They've been working on their plans to submit, but have not done so yet. I think that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Andy. Chief, do you have anything for us tonight?
No report tonight.
Okay, Albert?
No, I do not.
Okay, Nick?
Nothing further tonight.
Okay, Pat?
I don't have anything unless anybody has any questions for me.
Are you serious? Seth, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. My understanding is the pavement rejuvenator effort was completed tonight. I actually passed one of our team members. As I was coming to the meeting, they were leaving, so I think they worked late to make sure that they got the rejuvenator part done. So with that, that would mean that the base bid work that remains for the MFT program for 2025 is just the pavement patching. So that's some good news. And then obviously they'll still work their way into the pathway stuff. But we've been doing our best to push them for schedules daily, push them for updates. And so we'll continue to do so until they finish all of the work.
Thank you. Michael, do you have anything?
Just real quickly, just so the village board's aware in the background with respect to the TIF district that you established tonight. I've worked on a few of these and this one was extraordinarily seamless, very efficient. Your village staff hit every milestone in this process, which is comprised of a number of steps. And just so you know how smooth and seamless this was as compared to some others. There was no excitement. There were no emergencies and a lot was done behind the scenes with your team in getting this done, just so you're aware.
Thank you. Laura, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. Fire, do you have anything for us?
The only thing, we're having 9/11 ceremony, and then 9/11 at 10 o'clock at Fire Station 3 at Ranking. Everybody is welcome.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any old or new business? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee
Yes.
trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Meeting adjourned at 8:07.